Let me officially introduce you. If you've been following Vancouver civic politics for any time at all in this city over the past 4 decades, you have likely read something by Frances Bula in the Globe and Mail or the Vancouver Sun or on one of her own websites or blogs, as we used to call them in the olden days. And listeners of this show, of course, have heard Frances participate in all kinds of civic affairs panels and election coverage and so on. Well, Frances is retiring from journalism, which I would argue is a loss for journalism, but she is pivoting to politics, and she's seeking a nomination to run for Vancouver City Council under the OneCity banner, and she's been good enough to join us in studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Thank you for being here. It's very weird for me to be talking to you in this context.
Yes.
Why, oh why, are you doing this?
Well, I've had 43 great years in journalism. I've loved it. I actually thought I would go to my grave, writing one last story. But really, at this point, I've got 1,000 students out there, many of them working in journalism, and they're carrying the flag forward. I've done my job, and I wanted to do something different, get off the sidelines and actually try to have some direct impact. I mean, obviously, as a journalist, you do try to have impact, but something more direct as a kind of capstone project. And also a way to scare myself to death.
Because is your life, do you not get enough abuse in your life already? You need more?
Apparently not, yeah.
No, okay. How long have you been thinking about this?
Well, I think anybody who covers something regularly, you sort of every so often go, I could do better than this. Yeah. And I've thought about it a few times, but there were all kinds of personal stuff that intervened and so on. And I really only kind of tipped over like in the last 2 weweeks. So it's been a crazy ride, I have to tell you.
And did somebody approach you?
I've been approached by various people over the years. I am the one who initiated contact with the parties that I was interested in, yeah.
Okay, and so who did you talk to?
I talked to OneCity, and I talked to Kareem Alam at the Liberals for Vancouver, Vancouver Liberals. I can't remember which way he puts it.
And why did you decide to go with OneCity?
I just felt that I understood where they were coming from and where they were going to. They have a team. It's not a one-person operation. It's a full-on team. They have long-established policies. I know what those policies are. I don't necessarily agree with every single one, but I felt like I knew what I was getting into. I mean, as a journalist, it's really hard to join anything. Like I keep telling people, I've never successfully made it into a book club yet.
Well, and certainly nothing like a political party where you absolutely have to keep arm's length.
Yeah, and it was really agonizing to even do that. Like I spent a lot of time exploring whether I could run as an independent, and every experienced person I knew said no. Like in the suburbs you can, but in the larger municipalities where there's parties, there's just no way. And especially you could see the field was getting very crowded in the last few months. So it was hard. It was very difficult, but here I am.
And what do you think of what is happening with the mayoral race? I mean, William Azeroff, who is, of course, the mayoral candidate for OneCity, without consulting either COPE or the Green Party, suggested that they have some sort of runoff and choose a single mayoral candidate. A little bit presumptuous of him, wasn't that?
Well, there's a lot of complicated politics going on there. Pete Fry, my understanding is, as a reporter, formerly, is that he approached OneCity at some point in the fall about running as the unity candidate, and they said, sure, we're going to have a nomination. You're welcome to participate in that. That's what we'd like to do, and he didn't want to do that. I don't know all of the background and who did what to who poked who in the eye first. But for sure, one of the interesting things about politics these days is every party is like very fractious.
Yeah.
We see that with the BC Conservatives. We see that with Ken Sim's ABC party. So things are a bit more in the open because there's actually 3 separate parties. But, the thing I noticed is that they're very aligned on values. Like people aren't fighting the way they are with the BC Conservatives
Right.
about what do they believe in, what do they think they want to do. It's over strategy.
Yeah.
So I know that ultimatum was really tough for people. And it's part of something that's going on above my current pay grade, which is 0, by the way.
Yes. And won't be much better when you do get elected.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I know everyone's hoping to cooperate. Pete has been telling people for months that he didn't really want to run for mayor, and that he will step aside if someone better comes along.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to see that William Azeroff is the someone better, a really serious person who's managed $2 billion in assets at VanCity, run a very successful nonprofit seniors housing organization that's done a lot of development in the last few years, and, someone who has kind of the chops to run the city, which is a huge organization.
I was going to ask you about whether you would be able to stay on message or spin, but it sounds like you're already getting it down.
Yeah, but it is what I really believe. I actually wouldn't have run if it wasn't William. He's a nerd. I get him. I understand the personality. So, yeah, I've had to be talking to people quite a bit. So yeah, I'm starting to sound like a robot.
Now that you can drop this sort of veil of objectivity, what's the matter with this city that needs to be fixed?
I mean, so many things. When I look back, it's been sort of 10 years since people felt good about the city. Like the last 2 years of vision were pretty sour. Then we had the Kennedy Stewart administration, which felt very chaotic to people. I mean, I think they did more than people realize. And then now we've been in this sort of up and down. And I think people feel like the city has lost its way. It's like not doing the basic things anymore. And there are all kinds of issues in different areas. And so much of the council's time has been taken up with things like, getting rid of the park board or Bitcoin or, some of those other peripheral things. And I feel, and other people feel, like just the basic stuff. Like, why hasn't the fallen down tree on my street had its stump ground up yet and been replaced? Or, why are there so many, rotten sidewalks that haven't been repaired and things like that? So
your take on what's happening with Ken Sim and with Councillor Lenny Zhou, and they're communicating with primarily a Chinese audience and basically telling lies.
Yeah, a lot of people have weighed in on that. It's so unfortunate. And one of the really unfortunate things is there is a backlash right now to all kinds of things like supportive housing and how to deal with people who are not ready for rehab yet and still using drugs. Like, it's really tough.
Yeah.
And there are children in the Chinese community that are going to need services, are going to need some kind of tolerance as they go through it. And so to be turning people against all this and sort of raising, fears, accelerating fears is really unfortunate.
Yeah, and I guess it's possible that one of those parents who was spoken to about this will have a kid who, could someday use those services.
I have been to some family support groups for this kind of thing, and it's amazing how it cuts across all demographics. The parents who are watching their children go through terrible stuff, and so to just turn it into this counselor or these people are evil drug dealers, and it's all part of a kind of an unfortunate attitude about being intolerant.
What does it say about the current administration?
Well, this is so unprecedented. I don't think we've ever seen anything I can't remember anything. Like, you've been covering council as long as I have. I can't remember anything quite like this.
No, neither can I.
And I mean, you can hear the public response. They just feel like it's a real lack of leadership.
In a column last year for BC Business, you said that when you were talking about housing in general and a housing plan, you said it could be done better without city planners in the city's most militant pro-housing types. Is William Azeroff included in those more militant housing types?
No, what I liked about William's message that kind of got me interested was he said, we need something between single-family houses and concrete towers. We need more in the middle. And the projects he's been building at Brightside are like these really nice 6-story wood frame buildings. And so that's one of the things that I really liked was this emphasis on we need to have more housing options, which is something I'm really interested in. Probably the whole world knows that I live right in the Broadway plan area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the first towers is going up directly across the street from me. So I'm very intimately familiar with this. But it's not just in the Broadway plan. Like there's all parts of the city where we could be doing more to provide more options for people.
Yeah, well, it seems now that, you do see those sort of 6-story, apartment buildings, lower-rise apartment buildings being built, but they're all built along major corridors. You've got them on Broadway, you've got them on Canby Street, you've got them on, and some of these are, basically 6-lane highways during rush hour.
Yeah.
Is there any way to start moving them into neighborhoods where, people can have a slightly more peaceful existence?
Right, because my mom lived in the Arbutus development where the old Carling Brewery was, and she was on a side street, and it was really beautiful, and it was low rise except for the one.
Yeah, that's actually a decent one. Yeah.
Yeah, really beautiful area. In the Nanaimo Broadway area, which is part of the Grandview Woodlands plan, there are actually some of those apartment buildings going into the first side street off the arterial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think that's where, I don't want to start saying I'm going to get in there and this is what I'm going to do because I'm the chief planner. That's not what I'm talking about. But I would like to see more of that. Like you start by moving a little ways off the arterials, or you find spots in the city where it really works to have, a 6-story apartment building in the middle of the neighborhood. Mount Pleasant, where I live, has lots of those old ones, right?
See,
sprinkled throughout.
We're geeking out here. We're supposed to be talking about
sorry.
Supposed to be talking about your. I know. It's fascinating to me the way that development has worked that way. Left-wing parties, the Greens, COPE, progressives like OneCity, I suppose. Are you going to settle on a list of candidates, a mayoral candidate that is not going to mean that the vote is split a bunch of ways?
As I say, people above my 0 pay grade are working on that. I'm not involved in those kind of negotiations. Obviously, there's nobody who wants to see cooperation more than candidates like me. I really hope Pete Fry stays as a council candidate. I'm interested to see who might run for COPE. I've talked to some people there.
Are they going to field a mayoral candidate?
I don't know. That would be really good to have them on and ask them that.
Yeah. Well, we have, and so far they haven't said.
Yeah, so there are negotiations and discussions going on behind the scenes more than people realize. So, we'll have to see how it all evolves. I think everyone recognizes that if they don't cooperate, it just opens the door for someone else to win. Like you saw that in the last election. I've written a story about that. Left-wing, progressive, center-left, whatever you want to call it, got like more votes than the actual ABC councillors did, but it was split 22 ways, whereas ABC had, 7 people running or Yeah.
Although Mayor Ken Sim did get more votes than all of the other candidates combined.
Way more.
Yeah.
And that's going to be really interesting what happens with the mayoral race. Is it going to be a 3-way race, a 4-way? I mean, I don't know what Colleen Hardwick and team are planning on doing.
Right.
That's another factor.
Yeah. Somebody not tweeted, but messaged me the other day to say it must be election time because Colleen Hardwick's on the radio. So here we are. Frances Bula, thank you so much. And I may be soon referring to you as candidate Bula. And, and then, then everything's different.
You can ask me much meaner questions next time.
You can count on it, my friend.
Okay.
Take care. Thanks, Frances.
Okay, great.
Frances Bula, seeking a council nomination under Vancouver's OneCity Party banner. Frances has reported civic affairs in the city of Vancouver for the Globe and Mail and the Vancouver Sun for several decades, has previously contributed to CBC Radio as well as a panelist in election coverage and all kinds of things.